And welcome to another Cardinals Nest. This is the show where we talk St. Mary's University athletics. I'm Dean Beckman, the faculty athletics representative for St. Mary's. My co-host on the Cardinals Nest, as always, is Donny Nadeau, our sports information director. We are coming to you from the Jerry and Pat Pappenfuss Multimedia Lab in Aquinas Hall on the campus of St. Mary's University. Our producer, Donny, is Tony Pasquazi. It's nice to be able to say that we have a producer now, isn't it? He's not talking.
Our producer informed me that I talk too much.
Oh,
so,
is that it?
Yeah, so I'm not sure I should be talking. Is there a cue over there?
Am
I talking
you
too
don't
much
talk,
again?
I'm going to have to bring in our interview guest, who will be who is supposed to be on later. That's David Foley, our women's basketball coach, but maybe I got to bring him on sooner. No, we'll get to David a little bit later, but first we want to recap the past week in St. Mary's athletics, and what a week it was. We're going to start out with hockey action, Donnie. The women's hockey team is definitely on a roll right now, and I want to say that Saturday was Faculty and Staff Appreciation Day, and we got these super nice little bags, and inside there was a nice hockey puck, and on the hockey puck it says, "Because of you, I can reach my goal." So, nice little...
Yeah, I thought that was a neat a neat thing that they did, and they recognized everybody verbally. The PA announcer would recognize everybody that was there, and I think it's important. And I know we've talked about that before, but the support that the players get from faculty and staff means a lot, and the fact that they're in the stands and cheering. In class, they're talking about the events, as you know, because you have a lot of athletes in your classes. They're talking about performances. That goes a long way to helping, give that home court or home ice advantage. And I think that was a really neat gesture on the women's hockey part. Then they went out and performed.
They did.
On top of that,
I was going to say there also was a little tin of M&Ms in there with like cute little hockey players on them. I don't have those to show because I ate them. But they sure did. Well, first of all, on Friday night they went to St. Olaf and knocked them off 2-1. Exact same score for the home Faculty Staff Appreciation Day on Saturday, except that one went to overtime. It was a tremendous game.
Yeah, it was a crazy weekend for the women, and really, as you talked about, what a great weekend it was. We were 6-0 on the weekend, which is phenomenal. Both hockey teams went 2-0. Basketball teams both beat St. Scholastica, so to go 6-0 in the conference, thanks to our producer, he did all the legwork. First time in program history that we've had everybody win on a weekend like that. So congratulations to all the teams. But the women get a goal in the last 3 minutes on Friday night to win, and then they get a goal by Cass Kingston in overtime on Saturday to win 2-1 in both games. A great way for them to go out heading into the Christmas break. And we talked last week, maybe it is the Cardinals Nest boost because we talked a lot about the freshmen on the women's hockey team, and Nina Langley and Cass Kingston took our comments and brought them to the ice. Both of them scored a goal in each game. Nina Langley had the game winner on Friday. Cass Kingston had the game winner on Saturday. And Cass earned MIAC Athlete of the Week honors. So congratulations to her, and really a great way for the women to head into Christmas break.
Yeah, and Saturday's home contest, Jordan Keeley in goal. Just a rock there. She let one slip by, but she made a ton of saves in that one. Kept that game a 1-1 game so that St. Mary's could win it 2-1 in overtime.
Well, and as we talked last week, when you have two solid goalies, Ariziakis and Jordan Keeley, you're going to be in every game. And I think Saturday's was a really good example. St. Mary's dominated the first two periods, but we're only up 1-0. St. Olaf comes out and gets one break in the third period early on, ties the game up, but that's all Jordan would let by, and it kind of set the stage for Cass in overtime. But you need that. If you've got a goalie who is only going to allow one goal, you're going to win a lot of games. And so, you kind of expect your offense to score at least two. So a great weekend offensively and defensively for the women.
Now, the men's hockey team, they've been on a bit of a roll as well. I want to go back to November 23rd. They took on Lawrence University, a team they had lost to earlier in the year, Donnie, and they battled them to a 3-3 tie in that one.
Yeah, it was a great way to earn a tie. I mean, like you had said, they've been struggling a little bit. I think that kind of got them going, got their offense on track. They scored 3 goals, and then you go and you go to St. Olaf, and you've got a 4-1 win and a 2-1 win, same kind of thing as the women, where you only give up 2 goals on the weekend. That's great to see. And I think, as this graphic shows, as you look at the points, you kind of go, well, wait a minute, they've played 12 games and their leading scorer only has 4. I think the biggest advantage that the men have right now is they're spreading the wealth. They had 6 goals against St. Olaf, and they came from 6 different people. And they only had 2 people on the weekend that had more than 1 point in a game. And that's really big, because then all of a sudden, Coach Egan doesn't have to rely on one line or one group of defensemen. He can just roll the lines and roll the D and let whoever wants to step forward and do the work. He's getting great goaltending from Matt Sankner in goal, and as we talked about with the women, it was nice to see them get that sweep of St. Olaf. It's been a long time since the men's hockey team has earned a conference sweep. They did kind of go out on Tuesday and really not go out on the holidays on a positive note, falling to Milwaukee School of Engineering 6-0. But they need to focus on second semester, on 2022 and conference play, because that's really all that matters. They'll come back January 7th and 8th. They'll play St. Scholastica. Then they've got 2 non-conference games against Stout and River Falls, and then it's all conference. So the 22 portion of their schedule is going to be conference heavy, and they need to be ready to go.
Yeah, when we look at both the women and men, their conference schedules and records are pretty good. The women in the conference 5-1, and the men are 2-3-0.
Right.
And so they're right there in all conference games.
Yeah, all the conference. Really, the big part of their schedule is coming up conference-wise.
So again, a little bit later on in the program here on the Cardinals Nest, we'll be bringing in David Foley, the women's basketball coach. But Donnie, let's talk first about men's basketball. They're off to a 2-3 start, and in their last game, another exciting one, a come-from-behind win over St. Scholastica, 68-66. They were down by double digits.
What a crazy game that was. And you look at, they were coming off a 10-point loss to St. John's, perennial power in the MIAC, in a game that really was a 2-possession game until the very end, when St. Mary's was forced to foul and things got a little bit out of control with a 10-point loss. But then you turn around and you've got to go to Duluth, which is a tough trip. And what a game. They, and I mean, if you want to call it the Raheem Anthony show, you are more than welcome to do so. The guy was unbelievable. We scored 68 points. He's got 35 of them. And just showed the kind of talent that he is. At one stage in the second half, we were down. He scores 10 straight points for us, and all of a sudden we're up by 8. And then all of a sudden we're tied at 66-66. Yeah. 10 seconds left. You give the ball to him. And with about 4 seconds left, he tosses one into it to give us the 68-66 victory, and earned himself Athlete of the Week honors. So we had 2 of them last week. And how do you deny a guy who in 2 games averaged 29 points, had a double-double against Scholastica, he added 12 rebounds to his 35 points, and he's a joy to watch. And I mean, he is just a talent that it was one of those games where he was on and he carried the team. When you think about it, he scored more than half of St. Mary's points in that game. So, if they need it, he's got it for them, and what a phenomenal performance.
Well, and it's nice for us to call it the Raheem Anthony show, but it was a special honor, too, for the MIAC to recognize what he did to make him Athlete of the Week. But, he brings everybody else up on the team, and they clearly know who to get the ball to.
Yeah,
right?
No, and there's no doubt. And I think it's one of those where Coach Fano and Coach Quinn, they can say, hey, you know what? We're going to put number 10 out there. You guys stop him. Yeah. And right now, nobody's been able to do it. I mean, St. John's, he scored 23 against St. John's, 35 against St. Scholastica. I'm excited to see what he does against St. Olaf. St. Olaf right now is 5-1 in the conference and 2-0, or 5-1 overall and 2-0 in the conference. So, there's going to be some big tests for him, but he's proven right now that he's as good a scorer as anybody in the conference. And teams are going to have to figure out how to stop him. And then the problem is they have so much other talent that you may slow Raheem down, but then what are you going to do against Caden or Kareem or, pick your player? I mean, it's just been that kind of Coach Fano's got that kind of a team, that he's got the depth that if they shut one person down, he's got people that'll be able to step up.
Yeah, and they're 2-2 in conference play, and so everything kind of lining up for them. They've got Raheem back and playing well, and things are starting to fall together for Coach Fano's team. Before we bring Coach Foley in, though, let's take a look at what's coming up in St. Mary's athletics this week. And as you mentioned, Donnie, hockey is winding down until the new year, but basketball still in action.
Yeah, big weekend or big week for basketball. You've got St. Olaf on Wednesday. The women are home and the men are on the road. And then on Saturday we get our first basketball doubleheader at home, which is really exciting. I'm looking forward to both teams taking on Bethel. Then the women are done until second semester, and then the men really fire up. They've got UW lacrosse, nationally ranked. They're 13th in the country right now. On Wednesday the 15th. And then they go to Vegas for 2 games after Christmas, and they'll take on UW Superior, and then they take on Mary Hardin Baylor. And Mary Hardin Baylor is currently ranked 8th in the country. So of their next handful of games, they've got 2 of them against some of the best teams in the country. So it'll be a great test for them, and really we'll be able to see as we head into 2022 just what this team is made of. And I'm excited to see those games. Not only against Olaf, but against Bethel and lacrosse, and then the 2 in Vegas. It's going to be a busy time for them, and I suppose, and I'll ask Coach Foley this when we get him on, is that they get to play on the 28th and 30th of December. The women's basketball team doesn't play until the 5th of January, so they've got quite a break. So it'll be interesting to talk to Coach Foley about how you handle something like that.
Do you get to go to Vegas, Donnie?
No, I was not invited to go to Vegas.
Shoot. Well, with the snap of a finger, we'll bring Coach Foley on. David Foley, our women's basketball coach, thanks for joining us. This is your first time in the Jerry and Pat Pappenfuss Multimedia Lab. What do you think?
Yeah, this place is the real deal. So. Got my nerves on edge.
And all you had to do was walk across campus.
If I wasn't sitting
drive.
next to you, I'd feel more.
It's the bright lights, David.
It's the bright lights. As long as Donnie's here, then I know we're still at a level of professionalism that I'm comfortable with. So
good.
We'll be good.
Well, David, as one of the head coaches here, you had to be excited about last weekend. 6-0 for all of the teams. Your team was part of that as well. Exciting times right now in St. Mary's athletics.
It is exciting, and especially for hockey to have 4 of those wins, like Donnie said earlier. I mean, it's tough to get a sweep in hockey, and then for both Coach Fano and I and our teams to go to a tough place to play our first trip to Duluth as them being a part of the conference, and to pull out 2 kind of come from behind wins in a tough environment. 2 teams that were able to really learn a lot, but come out on the good end. So great for Cardinals for sure.
You mentioned it. Talk a little bit about the trip to Duluth, and for us really, it's we go to Duluth. It's 3.5 hours or 4 hours or whatever. We're used to that kind of thing. But talk a little bit about that atmosphere, what it was like, because St. Scholastica hasn't been in the conference, so it is kind of a new era for conference schools. What was it like having to go there and play?
Yeah, it was a great environment. I think that's obviously a great city, great kind of a venue to hold a basketball game. And coaches, we're creatures of habit, so really we know when we go to Carleton or St. Olaf or St. Ben's or wherever it is, we have our routine. We know when we need to leave. So the first time you go somewhere, there's a lot of unknowns there for us. But it was a great experience. They were great hosts, and we were able to come out on top, which made the bus ride home a lot more enjoyable. But yeah, great venue, and we're excited to have them in the conference and many battles in the years to come.
One thing that I've found with your team this year so far is you like to kind of take it easy to begin with and then kind of pick up the pace a little bit. Last couple of games, that first quarter has not been something that you want to write home about, but it seems like you're able to weather that storm and then just kind of play more St. Mary's basketball from the second quarter on. Is that something you've been addressing and trying to, I know that's a stupid question, but trying to overcome?
If you come in our locker room, we talk about the first quarter. Let's just take it real easy and lull them to sleep. No, it's a focus for us, and we know that with the team that we have and the experience that we're continuing to grow, that they need to be ready right off the bat. And when we go up against teams in our conference that have more experience or have players and have had systems in place for a number of years, that there is a little bit of an adjustment to that. So we're learning every game that we go out, and how we start is something that we work on and talk a lot about, especially in our scouts and our film sessions. So and even, I mean, you throw the Luther game, but even the Luther game, you throw all of our losses. It's been a rough start, and then we've had to claw our way back. And in a lot of our wins, it's the same story there too. So if we can start at the level that we get into that middle and into the games, then we're going to be a pretty scary team to go against.
You know, when you talk about that, you really kind of, my next question was going to be you have to expend so much energy getting back into the game that's hard work. I mean, it's hard enough to play a close game, but when you've got to come back from 8 to 10 points down, that makes everything even that much tougher.
For sure, and just the mental and the physical toll as well. But to be in a position that we're not having to fight and claw to get back into it, and then by the fourth quarter, it's kind of a toss-up at that point. But we want to get to a point where we can build a lead and stretch the lead, and then be able just to kind of maintain and kind of go into those fourth quarters feeling confident instead of having, hey, you got these first 2 minutes of the quarter, or this thing could get out of hand. So it's a learning experience. Really, we've got a ton of youth out there. We start 2 freshmen. We have 8 freshmen on our roster, and 6 of those 8 are playing big minutes for us. And our transfer didn't play a ton in her freshman year where she was at. So it's a learning curve, and I think we're starting to show some of those signs. And really, we're 6 games in to figure this out, and I'm proud of where we are for sure.
Well, yeah, you're off to a 3-4 start, and one of those losses was an overtime loss. Another one was a 3-point loss to a really good St. Ben's team.
Yep.
So you do have to be happy with the progress that your team has shown.
Yeah, I think we're in a great spot. Obviously, to be 4-0 conference would be every coach's dream, but to be in a position that we're learning from these games. All 4 of our conference games have presented us a different challenge. McAllister and St. Scholastica are 2 wins. We've been able to really assert ourselves when we needed to. And then Hamlin and St. Ben's were one of those situations where we kind of let things slip away and had to fight back. And really both those games were a shot here or there at the end of the game. Against St. Ben's, we got to stop with 10 seconds left. We just couldn't finish with an offensive rebound. And we have to foul them and 2 free throws. And then all of a sudden, we have to make a 3 at the buzzer instead of trying to be down 1 and get an easier opportunity. So,
how with a young team like you have, how important is the role of your upperclassmen, your seniors, and really your juniors too? But how important is their role, and what do you look for from them as you try to kind of put all the pieces together?
Yeah, I can't say enough about what Jada and Brooklyn, as our 2 seniors, have done for this group. Just being great mentors, being great leaders, being great role models. They're both great examples on and off the floor of how to carry yourself as a college student athlete. Ashley, our lone junior in that spot as well. Those are our 3 captains, and they've really kind of set the tone in our preseason, in our workouts, in our team chemistry, in our book club settings that we work through. But then even in practice, that they know what our standard is, and even if one of them is having a bad day, to have a collective group of those 3. And then even our two sophomores that were here last year, Macy and Caitlin Cruz, really they're freshmen as well. They played 5 games, but really they weren't involved in any of those game settings at that point, still learning with the veteran roster that we had last year. But even for them to have that standard of, hey, this is how we work, this is how we treat each other, this is how we handle ourselves on and off the floor. Yeah, all of our returners have been outstanding. Couldn't ask anything more.
And as you look at your seniors, you always want your seniors to kind of have their best season as their last, and as that graphic just showed that Anthony had up there. I mean, Brooklyn's having a phenomenal start to the year. She leads the conference in scoring, and Jada has just been. I mean, I've been very impressed with the play of Jada. 18 points against Scholastica, and just seems to really be kind of stepping into her own this year. You saw it coming. But this year she really seems to be stepping into her own and kind of maybe taking some of the pressure off of Brooklyn in terms of being that offensive leader.
For sure. And I think with Jada, we talked about it even last year when we were doing the show over Zoom. She was somebody that was really growing into her own in her junior season. It was cut short, unfortunately, due to the COVID restricting us on how many games we could play. But she's really stepped forward into that kind of offensive role for us. But then defensively, she's having to do a lot in that post position as well. Tonight against St. Olaf, they have one of the top post players in our league, and we really challenged Jada to come ready and to be physical, because she needs to be in that conversation as well with her size and skill and the way her understanding of the game. There's no reason that she can't be in that conversation in her position. And then Brooklyn has been steady since she got here as a freshman, since I got here as a freshman, to be on the team that she was in our first year together, and then to see her grow throughout these last 3 years has been great.
I was kind of waiting for you to say Brooklyn. It's just been Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. And to average 20 points a game in conference, yes, it's only 4 games in, but and she's leaving a lot of things on the board as well. She'd probably tell you she's not playing up to her standards right now, especially around the basket, kind of figuring out how to finish and get some of those in. But
I think one of the things that's really impressed me with Brooklyn is her rebounding.
Yep.
I mean, you look at yes, she's she's a great scorer. We've known that since she stepped on campus. But from a rebounding standpoint, especially defensively, that's part of her game that really, I think, has really evolved from when she got here to where she's at now.
Yeah, and that's just a credit to her work. Her work on her body in the weight room to be strong enough. She's having to play in that 4 position for us a lot of the times, just based on how we play and what our depth looks like in those spots. So she's guarding a post player a lot of times on the other end, so we want her to be around the basket, which helps us on offense because now who are they going to match up with her? Are they going to use one of their guards on her? But now then we have their post on one of our guards, which creates an advantage. So for her to embrace that, and that's something where she knows that she has to rebound for us to help us get those stops and go out the other way, and it's been huge.
So you talked about the 2 freshmen, too, that are starting. Grayson Harchis is one, and then Izzy Gettleman from Winona, a local Winona native. It's got to be nice when you're recruiting. You don't have to leave town sometimes, right? So
those
about
recruiting
Izzy
trips
and
are a little
Grayson,
easier. Izzy's been outstanding. She's the 2nd leading freshman scorer in our league. Is really starting to come into her own. She was a little bit unknown for us coming in. Yes, we saw her a ton because she's right across the street. But her growth and her just mentality of what she's doing on the court right now is outstanding. She is a tremendous athlete. She's very gifted in a lot of ways with the ball in her hands.
She can get into the lane is what I noticed.
And really that's all of our freshmen. But even for Brooklyn and Jada and Ashley and Macy in those guard spots, I mean, we've had multiple games where we're shooting 30 free throws. And that's because we can get downhill. We can be versatile. We play with a lot of space on offense, and we have the personnel right now to take advantage of it. And then Grayson, just to be physical and steady on defense. Her shooting is not come to where she wants it right now, but she's putting time in the gym, and just her physical presence in that 3 spot defensively is great for us. And really all of our freshmen in those spots. Aubrey has played. Aubrey Kranz from Mankato has played some great minutes for us. Maggie Newhouse from Owatonna has been a kind of a defensive presence that really can come in and change the game. Alyssa Coleman from Chicago is just really a special dynamic player as well that brings kind of a different skill set to us. So, I mean, all of our freshmen are contributing in that way. Even for Carissa and Emma, the 2 that haven't maybe contributed in game moments, they're challenging us in practice, and they're right on the cusp of getting into those spots. So to have a roster of 14 where all 14 are ready to go and are going to help us at some point in the season is pretty special.
I have Carissa, Emma, and Grayson in sport communication class, so you can imagine what my life is like.
Yes. All 8 of our freshmen are very unique. They all have very distinct personalities, and some are more vocal than others, and I won't say any names, but yes, I feel your pain at times. But no, it's been great.
They're great.
Great students. I think their commitment and their growth, when over half of your roster is new, 9 of our 14 players were not on this campus last year. It really takes a lot for them to kind of buy into the St. Mary's culture, to be a part of our campus community, to really buy into how things work academically here. Yeah. And they've had an outstanding start. And a lot of that is credit to what you alluded to as well with Brooklyn, Jada, Ashley, all of our returners. Hey, this is how we do things, and they bought into it. It's been great.
One of the things that you had said, and I found it really fitting, was you've done a good job of getting to the line. And if you looked at the graphic, and Anthony, I don't know if you want to pull it up again, but you're shooting 71% from the free throw line, which is incredible. And it's shooting a lot of free throws too. It's not just you're not just 10 for 12. You're getting to the line, and that's those are free points.
Yep.
And when you can do that and you can knock them down, getting to the free throw line is one thing, but then you've got to make those, and you guys are doing a real good job of that.
Yeah, and I think getting to the free throw line, it allows us to set our defense. It kind of slows the game down at that point for us to kind of get more strategic about how we handle things. But then it also puts teams at a disadvantage. We're getting people into foul trouble, getting downhill. I think one area we really need to improve on is finishing around the rim. I love how we're getting to the free throw line, but when we do get there and there's not a whistle or there's not a call, we got to be able to put those in. I think our field goal percentage is an area that we're really focusing on. We're taking the most shots per game in the league in conference play. Our defense, we have the highest, we have the best field goal percentage defense in the league. Our rebounding is great where we need it to be. If we can just convert some of those easier shots around the basket, I think our offense has a chance to prove pretty scary.
And make you feel a little better too. Right?
Yes, and a lot of that's to how we start. To start a game, we get a lot of good shots. We just have not been able to convert with some of that, and we've worked through kind of our patience and how to get better shots for our team. But we're getting shots at the rim early in games, and they just don't go, and that's hard to kind of bounce back from. And especially as a young player, when you're making the right play and we're getting to those opportunities and it doesn't go in, to be satisfied with that process of how we got there is that learning process as a mature player. And for us, we're starting to get there, and it's going to be a good thing for us when we get to that point.
All right, David Foley is our women's basketball head coach. Thanks for being on the show today. All conference games left, right?
Yeah, and that, I know you alluded to the break there, but yeah, not many opportunities after Christmas, but then we're right back at it with conference. It's great to see everybody twice, to have that fair, equitable schedule, and we're ready to rock and roll.
So you're in favor of it?
From a fairness and equality standpoint of who you play, to play everybody twice is great. It's not.
You'd like to have 28 games.
I'd like to have 28, 30. We'd love to go to Vegas or go out, but we just don't have the games to give.
Right,
so,
and you need those. I mean, you need those 3 early games because you only get 3.
Yep.
So you don't really have a lot of choice.
Yep.
But it does leave you with a pretty big gap between competition.
Because we played our 3 in November,
right,
where we could have saved one for December, but then we only have one game before conference play,
right,
and we want to make sure that our ultimate goal is to get in that conference tournament and keep playing until we can't anymore.
Absolutely.
And to be ready for conference is definitely our goal early on.
All right. Thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest. Tune in again next time.